and welcome to the latest episode of the ReWine, where we rewind the latest in entertainment and pop culture news. I'm Eddie.
And I'm Tammy.
Thank you for joining us. And this latest episode is brought to you by even more problematic people. Whew, Tammy, and there's so many of them. There's so much to cover.
Always.
So much to cover. Just when I think, like when I start making a list, I think, oh, it's a slow week. Like when I first started, you saw the first thing on the list, right? I was like, oh, this is going to be a slow week. And then, it picked up. So let's get it started. Just some quick pop follow-ups. Sending a shout out and a get well soon to former POTUS Clinton, number 43, who's in the hospital with a UTI that made it all the way into his bloodstream, but he should make a full recovery. He's
oh my God, I did not know that.
California Medical Center. Yeah, so he should be
Take
okay.
care of him.
The Golden Globes, the show will go on, but they won't televise it. So I wonder what awards they're going to give out, who they're going to get to show up, or if it's just going to be one of those announcement type things. Who knows? We'll see.
Well, they said it's supposed to be like an announcement, like because the announcement is the January 9th or something like that, where they're just going to announce who the winners are.
Do you think people would even care? Like, oh, I got my Golden Globe. Do you think they'll send a thank you note?
No, they won't. Like it because it's now by them doing this, because NBC has completely shut them down, is basically showing that the Golden Globes is no longer significant. Like, is it going to still have the same meaning knowing that all of this has come out? And now you're not going to be televised. Like, I feel like it lowers the importance of getting a Golden Globe now.
Yeah, but they could say this is your first Golden Globe with our new diverse staff and our new quote unquote diverse crew or whatever.
Yeah, we'll believe it when we see it.
Yeah. So that one, and this one just a little bit. I saw this today and I couldn't resist. So your boy Trump, he likes to piss people off, but he doesn't like to be pissed on. And apparently he was giving some speech at some Republican donor thing. And out of nowhere, he just randomly mentions that he doesn't like it when women pee on him. So he's not really into golden showers. Hey, I just, And he's also demanding that there's a new election immediately, or he'll be declared the winner of the non-existent election. And also, if that doesn't happen, he's telling his people not to vote in 22 and 24, which, I think that might be some excellent advice. They should follow that. They should follow his lead on that. Anyway, now this is the first story that started off our list. And when we had our news meeting, look at us sounding all professional. When we had our news meeting, you were like, what? But yeah, I know this makes you sad, Tammy, so sad. But Nick Cannon is done spreading his seed.
Because he already got a basketball team.
And look, he has the starting five and two coming off the bench.
He don't need no more.
He really does not. But yeah, so apparently he is done having kids and procreating and doing. What did he say? Done with his philandering ways or something? And I'm like, okay.
He sure is not the women who's done with him once they realize that he was just popping out babies to pop out babies.
Yeah. So and breaking news, really fresh off the presses. Look at us. Da 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 da. I need a sound effect because we are professionals. And the next story was going to be about how the IATSE was gearing up for a strike as the deadline approaches on Monday. And the IATSE, they're all the behind the scenes people, the people who actually make the movies, who make them go, production assistants, the crew of the movies. But it just came across the wires, fresh off the presses, that strike has been avoided. They have reached a deal with the producers, and so we're not going to have a break in film and TV. So I hope that they get what they wanted, because the stories that were coming out about how bad they were treated behind the scenes, it was horrible. So that's good news. And Cosby is possibly facing new charges in a brand new case, new allegations. So that's just one to watch this space, see what happens. But yeah. Anyway, into the big stuff this week. We are now in the 30 era. I am so excited. Adele dropped her new song, Easy on Me. What did you think? Have you heard it? Did you like it?
I did. It's very Adele-ish.
You don't sound like you liked it too much.
No, I did. It's very Adele-ish.
It's Adele-ish. Okay.
I mean, I love
Oh,
Adele. She's my favorite singer. Never disappoints because she just has a powerful voice. Um, but I mean, I'm. It didn't surprise me.
ah. So are you, okay, let me put it this way. Are you more or less excited about the 30 era?
I'm excited just because it's Adele, and I realize I love listening to singers that can hold a note, like who can actually like. Granted, like there are definitely a lot of singers who are very, very successful, but when you have someone who can just sing power ballads and they can sing with just a piano and a mic, like it impresses me every time. And Adele is that person. I've seen her twice in concert and she's phenomenal. Phenomenal. So I'm excited for this new CD, but it didn't like hit me like, oh, this is a different sound, which I'm okay with because I don't want her to go different. I want her to keep hitting me with what works because I feel her pain when she's singing those songs.
Yeah, she definitely did not go easy on us with this song. And I wasn't expecting too much different. I think she said 25 was kind of like her happy album. I'm like, well, damn, girl, this is you happy? Well, because she had gotten married and all of that kind of stuff and had a kid, and um, 30, she said, is her divorce album and growing up, and the one about hard truths. And she said she realized that the common denominator in all of her relationships had been her. So I think this one is her just, digging deep. And I was like, oh, okay. And I did like the video, and of course, leave it to the super sleuths out there who pay attention to everything. They pointed out that this is the same house. I forgot. I think, was it Rolling in the Deep from 21, that she started building the house in Rolling in the Deep on 21. In 25, the song, she moved into the house, and then in 30, she's moving out of that same house. And then they talked about her upgrading her flip phone and all of that. So I'm with you. I'm very excited on that. And there are some singers out there who can really sing when they strip away all the production value. And one of them I might surprise you with. Dua Lipa is actually one of those singers. Like, just I've heard her just sing acoustic background. She has an amazing voice, but I think a lot of it kind of gets stripped away with the production. So, but yeah. And don't get me wrong, I'm no way comparing Dua Lipa to Adele at all. There is no comparison. So I'm excited about that. Um, in other music news, Tammy, what the hell's going on with Lucas and SM? Like, for real. Like,
So like I was reading, I'd be trying to keep up on my K-pop news. And they just came out with new merch for NCT, which I have to say is like the number 2 biggest K-pop group in the world. I mean, they're far below BTS, but
well, it's enough of them. Shit.
Huh?
I said it's enough of them. Shit.
Yeah, exactly. But it's usually 23. So it's 23 members in NCT, and then they have a whole bunch of subunits. That is what they really focus on rather than the whole group. And they just came out with new merch, and Lucas has been excluded from that merch. So and people are saying it's because or the article that I read is they're saying it's because of everything that was going on with him gaslighting his girlfriends, cheating on them, basically making them pay for everything for him, and all of that has definitely played a role. But now we're waiting, like SM, like we need you to come out and actually, SM Entertainment, like we need you to come out and actually make a statement, like what's going on. You can't just take him off of the merch and not say anything about what his future is looking like with NCT.
Yeah. And, Lucas was one of my favorites, and he's a serially bad boyfriend. Though I think that him being a bad boyfriend should cost him his career, not necessarily, unless there's something more than him just being an asshole and making his girlfriends pay. And then when they stop paying him, trying to turn into a collection service until he finds the next one. Um, you know, But
well, it wouldn't in America and in Western culture, that wouldn't be anything that would get him to lose his career. But being the fact that your career has been built in K-pop, yes, that yes. You know, you can clearly lose your career. I mean, people have lost their career for less. And so your attitude is what kills your career. Like there's a certain image that you must put out as a celebrity in South Korea, and he did not put out that image. So should he lose his career based on the standards of K-pop? Probably.
Even, and I guess this is kind of a conversation we've had before, which, you know, maybe we'll get into more when we have our K-pop episode, because we have so much more to cover. But just a question I'm putting out there: should they revisit should they revisit some of the standards as K-pop doesn't just become more Western, but as it becomes more international? Not just K-pop, but Korean pop culture, as far as their whole entertainment industry, movies, music, TV, and all of that. And you know, like I said, I don't know that we have time for a full-fledged conversation, but we that I would be interested to see how we revisit that, because I don't have a clear-cut answer for that, and I know you're more of a traditionalist than I am when it comes to that. So I don't know.
So I'll answer it in very, very few sentences. The only way change happens is if people who are at the top step up to demand those changes to happen. And who are at the top of the whole celebrity scene in South Korea right now? BTS. And so if you have people who are still so scared of publicly dating, that won't change until you have celebrities who are above reproach start publicly dating. If you have it where tattoos are illegal on TV in South Korea, that won't change until BTS, with JK having a whole bunch of arm tattoos, starts to perform and shows his tattoos. He goes against those rules, or basically comes out and says the reason why they don't perform on SKTV is because of that rule. Like, until the ones at the top, it's not only BTS, there are other groups that are above reproach, there are other celebrities, actors and actresses, but until they are willing to publicly rebut like all of these rules, these unwritten rules that are out there, because they're saying like, oh, we don't stop them from dating, but yes you do. You discourage them from dating. You got 27 and 28-year-old men who have to hide their relationships, where it makes it seem like they've never had a girlfriend a day in their life. That's a lie. There is no way that you can go up till you're 27, 28 looking that cute and never had a girlfriend. There's no way. So like, until, you know, the ones at the top are willing to step up, no, it won't change. The traditions of K-pop and celebrity culture in South Korea will not change. That's just my opinion.
And that's a perfect segue into our next story. JK has actually started performing more and showing his tattoos more. He's now added to his face piercings. He now has a lip piercing to go along with his eye piercing. So he, you know, I think slowly but surely, they're starting to do that. Now, the public dating thing, you know, I think that's a catch-22, and I get what you're saying, and I agree with you. But part of it is this: I'm one of those people who, if I were in that position, I probably wouldn't publicly date, just because I am a private person anyway. So it comes to a point where, and I understand, it's like, who's going to be the one to really be willing to put it out there? Because, like you said, there has to be one. There were some rumors about V dating someone, a daughter of some head honcho's daughter, and he shut those down quite violently and viciously, and quite V. Like, were you surprised by his denial?
No. I mean, did anybody think he was actually going to admit it if it was true?
No, not that. Not that.
Oh, like how he did it?
Yes.
Like, it didn't faze me. I mean, you know,
yeah,
it was whatever.
But and that's the thing. It's like, and I get what you're saying, and I agree with you 100%. There has to be that one person who's willing to take that smoke, inhale all of that fucking smoke for the team, because it's a lot. But on the other hand, it's like I give up so much of myself that I want this for myself. So I think, and I agree with you. There's a difference between saying, oh, they don't date at all versus they would rather keep their private life private. Does that make sense? Because I agree.
It would make sense if that was the case.
But they say,
but they say they don't date at all. Or when you ask them, hey, are y'all dating? Our fans are our girlfriends. Bitch, no.
Yeah.
No. And stop saying that to teenage girls who actually have this belief that they have some ownership over you. But you know what my thought process was when it came to V and his violence.
Oh yeah, that he did it. He did it because he didn't want to take that smoke from whoever he's really dating.
Look, really think about it, y'all. Okay, like I feel that because he came out so strongly for that, like there's always been rumors. There's always been dating rumors for BTS. They are the biggest celebrities in SK, so of course. But look at that, me abbreviating South Korea. My bad. But how it was, like I felt like, you know, whoever he is dating probably was upset about this whole storyline because, you know, people were matching him up with this girl. And so he had to come out to make sure that they were not still going to be upset. That's my thought process. Like, I really do think that, because, I mean, they're all dating. They all got girlfriends or boyfriends or whatever.
Yeah. And again, we can file this and watch this space to be continued. I'm sure this is something we'll hit up again on in our K-pop, our end of year K-pop roundup. Continue on with K-pop music. That seems to be where we are. In Hyphen, they released their latest. At this point, I was not overly impressed. I have my first listen. Usually in Hyphen, they have that one banger or that one bop that just kind of hits me. And I'm like, oh yeah, and it makes me want to go listen to it repeatedly over and over. I didn't get that with this one. So I've only listened to it once. And for my first listen, I'm at, I'm not going to say I hated it. I'm just going to say, I didn't love it. What about you?
I was not impressed. I'm okay. Like, not one song like hit me. Their last album, I had Not For Sale, Fever. And for this album, like not even Pinky's song hit me. Sorry.
Yeonju from TXT.
Just always throwing out the nicknames we give people. But yeah, not even the song that they did with the member from TXT hit me. It did sound a little bit like a song that belonged more on TXT's recent album that they just put out. But no, it wasn't impressive. And I love ENHYPEN. I love them as a group, but I'm gonna honestly say I was not impressed. They need to go back into the studio and try again later.
Yeah, this
was not it.
Yeah, this sounds like something that they rushed out, something that they were
or any group can do. Yeah, it wasn't their sound. It wasn't a specific sound.
Yeah, it sounded like something that. What did I say? I said this sounded like the album that you put out because you know it's the final one to complete your contract.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, maybe by our roundup episode, it will have a few more listens under the belt, and I will have a different opinion. But as of right now, nah. Young Jay, what'd you think?
Love it. Oh my! Look. You know. They've done it. They. Y'all know how we feel about GOT7. So I will say I am so very proud of how amazingly well they have done since leaving JYP. Like they've all done their thing. Like amazing, absolutely amazing. Like I'm very excited, and I really hope that now they can focus on doing the comeback album that they promised us when they didn't re-sign with their entertainment company. Because I'm very excited to see what they can do, because what they've done with the control of their own careers now, it's only up from here.
Yeah, and I would kind of love to have that mic drop kind of like my boy Bacon and Taemin, my boys Bacon and Taemin did before they went to the military, even show new. Because JB goes next year, right? Or the year after?
I think it's the year after. So I think I
Okay.
wasn't mistaken. So he has one more year. So next year it'll be, so he'll be 27 next year. So it's the
Oh, okay.
following year. So it'll be 2023 is when I believe he goes.
Okay. So yeah, I liked it. There were two songs I wasn't crazy about, and I told you those were the two songs that sounded like just really dull OSTs to me. Sorry, the soundtrack songs. But other than that, I did like it. I really did like it, and I loved Vibin', you know, of course, the lead off single, but it really does sound like they're all like, we always knew who JB was. Like he was Def Soul, of course, or Def, and he was always been into the R&B. He's never made any qualms about when he had his solo career, he was going straight up R&B. I love that they've all kind of shown their identities and who they are, and that all those different personalities and different genres of music meshed so well and got seven. So it would be lovely to see them come back and bring more of themselves. And again, we saw that kind of with Last Piece, because that was the one where, you know, JYP just left them alone and let them do what they wanted to do, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
I loved it. So you again, that's probably something else in our K-pop wrap up, but loved it. I liked it more than Bam Bam's, you know. No offense, Bam Bam, but you need to try again.
So
homie.
wait. Okay, so real quick. Okay, so if you had to rank, and these are just the ones who've come out with an album. All right, so we're leaving off Jackson,
And Mark,
Jin Young,
and
Mark, right? So we're just focusing on the four that's come out with an album. How are we ranking them?
JB Young, JB. Gosh, why am I blanking? JB.
Yugi.
Yes. Why am I having a brain fart? JB, Yoongi, Young J, and Bam Bam.
Okay, I'm in agreement.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm in agreement. Yeah, I would go like that. But I will say, based on the fact that Young Jay's sound was very much him and Yogi's sound was surprising, but you realize that was more his style, I would say they're very close in being second for me. Because both of them did their own style, and I love it. They did a great job on presenting this new image of themselves. But JB's number one automatically, and I love Bam Bam, love him, but yeah, he's gonna be fourth for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now Yogi would be the most surprising, because I was not expecting that, because he always kind of took a back seat and got seven. You know, you knew he could sing, but he got very limited singing.
Because he was the weakest vocal of the vocal line. That's why.
So he's the one that surprised me the most, but it was great. Okay, I have a serious question, and I don't know if you can answer it for me. Why the fuck are people still listening to R. Kelly?
Because they're trying to say about how you got to be able to separate the art from the man. It's kind of like like Cosby. You know, I guess, right? No. Well, no. Okay, so Cosby's a little, okay, my bad. I'm taking that back because the Cosby Show and Cosby is very, very different compared to R. Kelly literally sang about what he ultimately did in life.
Like, he forced Aaliyah to sing a song called Age Ain't Nothing But a Number to justify you doing.
That you married her when she was 15 years old.
Yeah, and not to rehash that whole thing, but it just boggles my mind. And maybe one day we just need to have a show about our people and why we do some of the things we do. I don't know if we could dissect it all, but it boggles my mind how you're in constant support of this man who we all know is guilty. Because again, we go back to the original tape that should have clicked us all off to that the man was.
Hey, some of us have never seen it.
Yeah, and so count yourself lucky. I've never watched it in its entirety, but yeah. So it kind of goes back to, he's been taken off of all the playlists, off of all the advertisement, but he's still on the streaming services. So his music he's had a consistent streaming levels since all of this happened. Consistent, not as big as he was in his heyday, but consistent. Every time there's a major announcement around his case, his numbers skyrocket. Like this last time, 500% increase in listens and streams. And it boggles my mind about like, is that, does that make you feel better than just actually putting money in a fucking GoFundMe account for him or something? Like, yeah, I don't know. So, I guess, yeah, you don't have
I
an
can't.
answer.
I to be honest, I couldn't answer that just because like I don't agree with it. Like I will acknowledge the fact that I do have friends who still listen
I do
to
too.
his music. And and the funny thing is whenever they say it, they kind of say like, I know it's wrong, but and then they look at me because they know my thoughts about it. Like I've made myself very clear on where I stand when it comes to the R. Kelly thing. They've never played R. Kelly around me, so I'm good. But yeah, I'm just not one of those people. So I guess like talking to them, like in their minds it sounds very logical on the reason why, and I'm not going to argue with you about it because I'm just sick and tired of doing it. But I will never listen to him again, and I'll stand by my convictions on that.
I am too, because I ain't gonna lie, that Ignition remix was the shit. And
But
he
you
was a
still ain't gonna
very
get my listening.
mine either, and he's very talented. And one of his CDs is actually one of my favorite pieces of music album. Like his second one is one of my favorites. And but I can't do it. I cannot. And it's just like, ugh, okay. Anyway, moving on. Superman comes out as bi, and another former Superman,
Jonathan
Dean
Kent.
Dean Cain, has ideas about what it means to come out as bi. And Dean Cain, in my opinion, had a broke clock moment. I can't even call it a broke clock moment. He just actually made a very interesting point, although I don't think it was intentional. At least I found it interesting. I didn't think what he said about Superman coming out as bi was checking some box or performative or unnecessary. That I disagree with, because it's not Clark Kent. If it was Clark Kent, then okay. If after 150 fucking years, Clark Kent suddenly was like, "Oh, I'm bi," then yeah, okay. But it's his son, Jonathan Kent. So,
You don't think they were checking the box?
not necessarily. Not in this day and age. I mean, what? Okay, let's
Really?
make. You do?
Yes.
Okay.
They're doing it too much.
So
It's just like,
you agree with that point?
yes,
Okay.
but I look at it for anything. When you have when all of a sudden you have like that one black character,
Oh.
you're checking a box. When all of a sudden, because it's not only Jonathan Kent who's now Superman, it's not only him, but you've had multiple.
But is anyone really surprised about Robin? Like, there have been rumors since the 60s that Robin was probably. Let me stop. Like, since his original iteration, when the shit was way, way, way taboo.
Okay,
People were like, "Are you
but
sure?"
that there were also some underlining thoughts about that whole
His ward,
relationship. But
Dick Ward. Let me stop. Okay,
let's not talk about that.
Why you got my mind going there?
But what I will say is that I feel that now it's like and I am a big supporter of representation, because when you see yourself on TV, when you see yourself in the media, it does so much because I look at it as, and it does so much for kids, for teenagers, as they're, growing into themselves and figuring out who they are. It does so much. Like, I've done research on that. But at the same time, I'm like, why does Jonathan Kent have to be bisexual? And here's my other thing. Why bisexual? Because that kind of leaves it where if you have him end up with a female character, that makes it easy for the homophobes who are fans of Superman. It's you're leaving the door open for them to be like, I mean, he tried it out, but he's basically straight.
Well, the character that they set him up with, once I read, it's
his like best friend. Like I read it, but
well, no, it's like his Lois Lane, because he's also an investigative reporter or journalist, and so it's like, I think, and to me, it does a disservice to those who are bi, where I agree with you in that sense. That seems like you're taking the easy way out, and I'm not saying
I hope they don't.
I'm not saying you have to choose a lane, because there are people who really do, and who really are attracted to both sexes. I get it. It's not like, it's not like, oh, they just can't decide. No, that's not it.
They like who they like.
They like who they like. So in a sense that, okay, maybe if you were going to go there, like Robin, to me, that was taking the easy way out. We all know, just straight up make Robin gay. Come on now.
Wait, so Robin's not just gay? He's bisexual?
I believe he was bisexual. Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here. Robin's gay. Come on now. I'm sorry. Oh my God. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, y'all. My bad. Let me take that back. I apologize.
Let's see.
Go ahead, Eddie. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think I think he came out as bi.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I'm with you on that one. So it didn't really bother me. I guess I was just like indifferent to it, but I was interested to see what Dean Cain says, because he's a MAGA-ite, and he did play Superman, and he he was an iconic Superman before everyone figured out he's a total idiot, douche, whatever. But the point that he made to me that was a good one is, instead of having Superman just show up at these protests with his boyfriend, have him actually go out and fight these crimes, like the human trafficking and the real crimes in the world. So that was the interesting point to me. Instead of just having, because he's fucking Superman, instead of just having him show up to the protests, have him go do something about the reason why they're protesting. So I guess that was like changing the types of crimes that he's fighting. To me, that would be more interesting. Or if he's actually going to address issues that, and I guess that's where it does become performative, is okay, you have these people come out, but what are they going to do to truly represent, how are they going to fight for these causes? Does that make sense?
No, I fully understand what you're trying to say, and I agree.
Yeah, so that to me, so if they just leave it that, oh, he's out, he has a boyfriend, he's bi, but you're not doing anything to fight for the LGBTQ cause, or you're not doing anything to fight human trafficking or fighting the real world problems of today, then yes, you are checking a performative box and say, hey, we have a gay character, but he doesn't do anything for that community or whatever. So I'm okay. I agree with you on that. Speaking of, I don't even know what to call her. I guess unconfirmed MAGA-ites, who people with distasteful, I don't even know. Anyway, we'll just start. Sage Steele. I remember you sent me in a text and you asked me, who is Sage Steele? And you know what I said? I said, oh, she must be on Twitter. Because I think when you sent it was a day that she was trending, or she said something, but this is before she said the thing that actually ended up getting her, spoiler alert, suspended from ESPN. And I can't remember, I was like, oh, and I think my first response to you was, oh, what the fuck has she done now? Or what has she said now? Okay. So Sage Steele is a Black, my bad, biracial journalist, sports journalist on ESPN. And she plays the game of, can I say she plays the game of identity politics very well?
Sure. Yeah.
She's a chess master at it, maybe?
She ain't a master at shit. But yeah.
Stupidity?
Okay. Nah, she got competition in that role too.
Oh, damn. She can't even master stupidity.
Like she middle of the road stupid, but go ahead.
Okay. But and I hate saying this, but she seems to hate the fact that she's Black.
She
or she seems,
does hate
or
the
she
fact that
seems
she's
that,
black.
or she seems to hate the fact that she can't pass.
She does hate the fact that she can't pass.
And if you hadn't figured that out, part of what really left it, and I think that's one of the things I told you, because again, this was before all this shit blew up. And because one of the dumbest things she said is she was on Jay Cutler, the former quarterback for the Chicago Bears, and Kristen Cavallari husband podcast. And one of the things that she said, which was so asinine to me, is she surprised
ex-husband. Let's put that out
ex-husband.
there. Ex-husband.
Did I say ex? Did I still
You said husband.
Oh, my
Ex-husband.
bad, ex-husband. Ex-husband. But one of the things that was so stupid for me was that she said she's surprised that Obama identifies as black. Did he
because his daddy didn't raise him, and his daddy was his black parent.
But is there any way Barack Obama could pass for anything other than black?
Absolutely not.
I mean, I get that, and I'm not saying that, but I'm not saying he had to choose, because he'll talk about his love for his mom, his love for his white grandparents who raised him. But when you look at him, the last thing you see is white. When you hear him talk, so that just kind of lets you know about the kind of self-hate that I can imagine that's going on there, that might have to be, addressed in years and hours of therapy. But that's not all she said. She also said that women bring harassment suits on themselves by the way that they dress. That they are asking for their own harassment. Now, this is also coming from a woman who was one of the founding journalists of ESPN's Initiatives for Women on Sports conferences, which is a big deal for women journalists and women athletes in sports. And of course, she was not allowed to speak there because of, these comments that she made. So yeah, and that's it. You're just laughing. Yeah. You don't know where to begin. It's like so much.
No, because other people have come out with this nonsense of that it seems to be my responsibility to make sure that men stop being misogynistic and sexist. No, it's not my responsibility. I should be able to wear whatever the fuck I want to wear. And if I wear it, you should keep your comments to yourself. And it's not just the comments, because not to say that the comments are okay, because they're not. But it's the fact of saying that we have raised these men to not know how to take no for an answer, to call women bitches because they don't want to date you, they don't want to give you their number, to follow them down the street just so you can tell them that they're cute, or to want to force a woman to smile at you because she looked too mean and she don't feel like smiling. And so her saying that is like saying, oh, well, if you walk down the street looking cute, you should smile. Why you got a frown on your face? You look cute. Maybe because I don't want to fucking smile.
Thank you.
If you give me a compliment and I tell you thank you, that's the end of the conversation. It's not because you give me a compliment that all of a sudden I'm supposed to stop and talk to you and give you my number. No, that's not how that works at all whatsoever. And it just, oh my God, it just pisses me off, because that's the same thing as in now, based on what I wear, is it okay for a man to rape me if I wear a skirt that's too short and it shows my ass? Does that mean it's my fault if I get raped for that because of what I was wearing?
Or you went out to dinner with him and you gave him a kiss.
And so that's payment. So it's just, when women say that, I'm just like, shut up, because you're an embarrassment to females. You're an embarrassment to women, and I need you to just stop talking. Like, you do not speak for us, and you need to just stop talking. Like that really pisses me off. Ooh, I can't. Ooh.
And that is one of my biggest problems with Sage Steele. Um, is, and I swear, and I think I've said this before, I may have just said it to you in conversation when we were talking about this. She's one of the ones that when she's on ESPN, when she's hosting Sports Center, I literally turn the channel. Like, I do not watch anything with her on it. Just because she used to be on the NBA. She used to do the NBA tonight, and she used to be like the pregame host for the NBA shows. And I don't know if they just could not deal with her. She was one of those who got a quiet relocation from a prime gig, but it was never said out loud why. But she's one of those people who just I can't with her because just I don't know. I can't. She perplexes me so much I can't even talk, and I lost what I was going to say about her. But that's just one of many problems that I have with her. Besides the fact that
she's a Candace Owens.
Yeah, no, that's what I was going to say. She hates the fact that she's black until it benefits her. She's one of those people who don't call her black, but when it suits her and benefits her to play the black woman card, like the black woman in sports journalism. And again, it's not because she has varying opinions. It's not her politics. We're all entitled to have different thoughts about those politics. But it's the fact that you want to disown your race and say all these disparaging things about it until it benefits you to be black. Don't call you black until I tell you to call me black. It's okay when I say it. But any other time than that, she's sure to point out that she's biracial. And that's what pisses me off. It's not your disagreeable politics or any of that other bullshit, but that's the one thing that just
also in the fact of saying that she let a white dude on national TV touch her hair.
That's the number one. No. Why are you touching hair? See, you and because they do it to one, they gonna think it's okay for all.
And that was the thing. They were like, "Well, what's the big deal?" And I said, "Because you seeing that on national TV makes you think that if you see a black woman or you work with them or you kind of have casual conversations with them, that gives you permission. It's just like when you rub a pregnant woman's stomach without permission. It makes it seem like you have just automatic permission to touch a black woman's hair. No, boo boo. And if I tell you can't touch my hair, no, you can't touch my hair. Don't be upset about it.
They don't fuck around, find out the hard way." So, and one of her final comments also, and this is going to lead us into the next thing we talk about. She also talked about the vaccine mandates, how stupid they were. Never mind the fact that she's vaccinated, and forgive me, karma don't like ugly, but she fucked around and got a breakthrough case of COVID. I really do hope she's going to be okay. I think she will be. But if not for that vaccine that she was forced to get, which goes against everything she believes in, then it may have been a worst case. So I'm not making light of her having COVID. I'm just saying, karma works in mysterious ways sometimes. But so she was suspended, and she also caught Rona at the same time. So that was a hell of a suspension. I don't know when she will be back on ESPN. Like I say, I don't keep up with her. But that kind of goes into the next thing of Kyrie Irving. I know you're not a big sports fan, but I know you now know who Kyrie Irving is.
I do.
Dare I ask you what team he plays for?
Brooklyn. Wait, no. The Brooklyn Nets, which used to be the New Jersey Nets.
Oh, you only know that because you're from the swamp. I'm so proud of you, though.
No. But no, I didn't know that, but I knew that because, of me listening to the whole timeline of what's been going on with him. And they continuously mention that he plays for the Brooklyn Nets.
Yes. And so Kyrie is one of the smartest, dumbest people I've never personally encountered him, but he's one of the smartest, dumbest people out there. He went to Duke, and he's not dumb. And he's done a lot of great things for people. He's very charitable, but Kyrie's always been one of those that kind of march to the beat of his own drum. He's always been a little weird. Okay. But now he's also the poster child, the new, how do I put this? The new black poster child for the MAGA movement. Like he's one of, I feel like he's one of the dolls that they've collected that they can put on stage and say, look, we got Kyrie now.
But that's not a
And
choice of his.
it's not a choice of his, but he's leaning into it. Because any other time Kyrie has done something or said something, like last summer when he was talking about the protest and all of that kind of stuff, you know, the same people who are now holding him up on this pedestal saying, go Kyrie, they're also the same people that were last year like, shut up, nigga, and dribble, you know, those people. So it's like, and him saying that he's going to remain unvaccinated and all this because he wants to be the voice of the unvaccinated voiceless. Dude, they have a voice. They're the loudest motherfuckers out there. They're the reason why we're still in this fucking mess. So I just don't buy it. And I guess also part now, you know, yeah. What?
I don't. Okay, so I'll be honest and say, I don't agree with it. Just want to put it out there that 90% of NBA players are vaccinated.
Uh-huh.
So he's just part of that, 10%, which is
The
better than the country as a whole.
the unvaccinated voiceless, and he's part of that 10%, but he's still making the most noise, which I guess goes in to kind of prove the point. But go ahead.
But I think that like they're making it like be like the most noise, and the reason why is because he was traded to the Brooklyn Nets in order to get them to the position of getting a championship.
Mm-hmm.
And so people are looking at it as in you're being very, very selfish because you're not thinking of your team. You're not thinking of the fans. And his whole thing is, but you know what? I've had this conversation with my family. That's where my focus is. And I'm just not going to get vaccinated. Like, at the end of the day, like, but I'm okay with that. Here's the reason why I'm okay with him not getting vaccinated. Well, here's the reason why I'm okay with the decision that he made. Because he's also willing to deal with the consequences of his decision. And so you can't play at all. You're going to take the year off. I don't know how long this mandate is going to last, depending on how the country is going. And it's not looking too good right now. So, yeah, sit out. And then now there's a possibility that you will be traded. But wherever you end up going, won't you still have that same issue depending on where you're traded to, because you're not for the team? And so I'm like, you know what, at this point I'm sick and tired of like arguing with these people who just don't want to get vaccinated. Like, go do you, but don't bitch and moan about the consequences. And that's one thing, I haven't heard him bitching and moaning about the consequences of his actions. I don't know if maybe he has already, but I haven't heard him bitching and moaning about it. He accepted it. So if you're going to accept the consequences of you not getting vaccinated, that's fine with me. Go about your business.
Yeah, and one of the consequences cost him $187 million because that's
and that's fine. He's willing to take that hit, then that's fine. But if he was to bitch and moan about it and be like, oh, like, I'd be a different story. But I also think that he's just being made a martyr just because he's publicly come out and said that he's not vaccinated and he's a black man. And that's what I really think it is. And so Fox News is like, oh, look. Oh, he's gonna dance for us. He's not really dancing for them, but they latch on to anything that looks good for the message that they want to sell to people. And so he just happens to fit that image. But I don't think he's playing into the image of what Fox News is putting out there.
Okay, and I can agree with that. And where I agree with everything you just said. And to me, the $187 million, I'm taking my ass to get vaccinated. Okay, that's a lot of money, and I get it. He did come out and say money isn't everything. But Kyrie, like I said, he's a conspiracy theorist. He was a flat earther for a while because he fell down the YouTube hole, and that's where he is.
I'm sorry, what?
This.
Huh?
Yeah, he's a flat earther. He fell down and then he had to walk it back. But he falls down that conspiracy theorist hole. Like in his quest to just open his mind, he's susceptible to this bullshit. So the reason why he's not getting vaccinated is because of all the conspiracy theories and shit out there. Like it's a so, and he's not playing into it as far as going on Fox News saying, yes, take me, I'm your new MAGA hero. But what's that saying? Silence is complicity. So he's also not distancing himself from it, saying, hey, this is my view, but they're separate from Fox News. It's like he's letting them use him as his Pinocchio by staying silent and not saying, I'm doing this for me. Fox, keep my name out your mouth, because any other time you don't want to hear what I have to say. You don't believe in the things I'm standing up for. So that's where I say he's allowing himself to be used. And so, and also the same people that are all these people on the right that are like Ted Cruz, Fox News, all these fuckers that are standing up and saying, oh, Kyrie's our new hero. What about Kyrie? All these motherfuckers are vaccinated. Mm-hmm. So you're telling him to take a stand, and it goes into the public at large. All the people that are going on strike, the everyday workers that are listening to these dumbasses tell them, you're doing the right thing. Don't go to work. Quit your job. Freedom. They've all been vaccinated, and none of them are sacrificing what you're sacrificing. None of them have sacrificed their paychecks, their livelihood to take this stand. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, it is a choice. You either choose to get vaccinated or you lose your job. That is a choice. Kyrie made that choice, and you're right. He hasn't been complaining about it. But the same people at the top that's telling these people, this is what you need to do, they're fucking hypocrites because they've all been vaccinated. None of them are willing to take the stand that you've taken. Fox News has the highest vaccination rate of any corporation. And they've been vaccinated. It's not since that's something they mandated months ago. So I agree. The hypocrisy is overwhelming. And then we get to Marjorie, as Joy Reid calls her, 3 names, and her dumb ass comments about, oh, the NBA won't let Kyrie play, but they let Magic Johnson play with HIV. Take it away. Jesus. I'm gonna need Jesus to take the wheel.
Eddie, I feel like you be setting me up for this stuff. Yeah. Now, you called Sage Steele a master of stupidity, but I feel that Marjorie 3 names, she is valedictorian of Stupidity University.
She got, what is it? Which one's higher, Magna or Summa?
Oh God, I don't know which one, but whichever one it is, she has that.
She's the summa cum laude.
And here's the thing: how stupid she is that she's saying that she got it all 4 years that she was in school.
Dude, now she got a PhD in that shit, like for real.
So she went all that time, and she said every single year I was magna summa cum laude. You know, that's probably what she's saying. But she yeah, like, and she's been called out. She's been called out about it on the stupidity, and it's sad to think that her supporters encourage that nonsense because it reflects on you as well. Everybody who voted for her or who continue to support her and send her money, like, it shows your stupidity as well. Like, it really does on your stupidity. You're not voting for a politician who really has your best interest at heart. You just voting for a politician that just has diarrhea of the mouth. And she's saying whatever shit comes out, like just whatever comes to mind, she's just saying it. So yeah, like, I
see what you did there, diarrhea shit. That's a good one.
I be trying to be clever sometimes.
Yeah, her and her shitty take. So I think Kyrie is being, for basketball to be a team sport, for him to know how much his team was relying on him. I do happen to fall into that he's being selfish, and also just as a community at large, because like I said before, if the unvaccinated, like, this wasn't anyone's first choice, but part of being a community is taking care of each other. And everyone wants to tout the Constitution and the founding fathers, but they forget that was part of their creed. As a community, We're here to take care of each other. And
We, the people.
yeah. So, but, and I think sports, I should have led with this. Sports rule the day. And yeah, this is going to be a good one and a long one. We're going to just go over because there's just so much going into this. And they all kind of tie hand in hand. Jon Gruden. Have you heard of that name before this week?
No.
Okay. He is a coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. He hosted Monday Night Football. He was a coach of Tampa Bay back before Brady played in the early 2000s. They won a Super Bowl. He took some other coaching jobs, ended up hosting Monday Night Football. I didn't realize he hosted Monday Night Football for as long as he did. I think it was almost 10 years. And then he's recently, for the past few years, been a coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. People loved Gruden, goofy sounding guy. He looked like a surfer dude or whatever. And if you would have asked a lot of people, in the community, a lot of people in the culture, Gruden probably would have been one of the ones they invited to the picnic, to the cookout. Until this week, when a lot of his emails came out, and he got caught up in a scandal that really had nothing to do with him. It started with the NFL investigating the claims of the Washington football team because their asshole owner refuses to actually give them a real name since they had to drop the name Redskins. But they were investigating the toxic workplace environment in Washington. And his brother, Jay Gruden, was the head coach at Washington for a while during his stint at Monday Night Football. And I guess he became close with some people. So that's just some background. Anyway, his emails end up coming out. And he had called, the first thing that came out was that he had called D. Smith, who was the head of the NFL Players Association, a racial slur, or compared him to a monkey, or said he had big lips. And, so he went full-blown racist on D. Smith. Everybody was, oh, that's bad, but it wasn't at the fact of they were calling for his job bad. And I guess just because, it happened so long ago, we're used to it, racism. I don't know where it ranks on the list of isms. But then more emails came out, and he checked all the boxes on isms and ists, though. He was forwarding pictures of naked cheerleaders and topless cheerleaders and saying horrible things about women and female referees and umpires and all this other stuff in the league. Then he was saying he called Goodell a gay slur, the F word. And then and other things, talked about how they shouldn't have been pressured to draft Michael Sam. And then all of this while he's the coach of the only active gay NFL player. So he ended up resigning. Well, they let him resign, but I think after that he's going to get fired. But it took the cheerleader thing, his comments about his misogynistic comments and his homophobic comments, for the calls to be loud enough for him to lose his job. They were willing to dismiss the racist stuff, like, oh,
Didn't they partly want to excuse the racist stuff because black players came out and spoke about that wasn't him? That wasn't who he truly was?
Yeah, and I guess that goes to the point about, they're gonna go search high and low to find a reason to excuse the racism, because they went and found that one black player, that Sage Steele. Oh, that wasn't so bad. That's not the Jon Gruden I know. He wasn't our coach then. But you can't find a woman or a gay person who says, oh, that wasn't that bad.
First of all, women don't play basketball. Don't play football.
Well, they could have found a cheerleader who said, oh, that wasn't that bad.
Yeah, they don't matter. Your opinions are not important. Okay, I get what you're trying to say. But I think what really wrote it where people let the racism go is because they found black players who came out and spoke up for him. There's no female players. And yeah, you could have had cheerleaders that came out, but it wouldn't have been of significance. One reason is because, we always just accept the sexism of, it's football.
But
And
he was passing around naked pictures of cheerleaders or topless pictures of cheerleaders.
yeah, but anybody listening to cheerleaders? I'm sorry. I don't feel that they, you know, I don't think it would have went as far, like they wouldn't have been able to find anybody the way that they found the black players who actually played football, who actively played football, to come out and say that's who he was. I think that went further on people saying, like, people just brushing it under the rug. Not to say it was okay, not to say it was right, but brushing it under the rug of, like, they found, I think it was like 2 black players that came out in support of him when that controversy happened. At the same time, maybe they couldn't find any cheerleaders who would come out in support of him, who knew him, who could actually say that they have worked with him or they've had conversation with him. And they probably it's only one of them, right? She said openly gay. Only players who would come out and support him after those homophobic. Not to say I'm like, they can't find nobody to support him, so yeah, that's gonna definitely cut his career short compared to, you got black men coming out in support of him. Blame the black, like, yo, we need to stop. Didn't we have this conversation before?
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, it's all bad. Don't get me wrong, but it just, even above that, even the media, we were all willing to excuse the racism. We were making excuses for it because, again, none of these comments, the emails were all in the same time frame. None of these comments or none of these emails have come since he's been back in coaching. At least those are not the emails that he erased or that were released. So I'm not going to even sit here and pretend like, oh, for the time that he was on Monday Night Football, he was just a misogynistic, homophobic, racist asshole. And then all of a sudden he stopped. So, but my thing is, why does it take everything else? Like, are we just so used to, like, we do, is it to where we rate our racism, like our responses to it? I guess that's what I'm getting at. Like, oh, like, do we have a scale of racism? Like, on a scale of 1 to full-blown fucking racist, that was probably maybe a 1.5.
Yes, we do.
But everything else is automatically, no, oh, you gotta go.
That is not true. Everything else has a rating as well on how big it is. Now, granted, yeah, maybe he was taken down off of the sexism. I feel he's taken down off of the sexism and the homophobia because, once again, and he had black players that came out in support of him. That lowered the rating of his racism. But because you had black people come speak out for you.
But they went and found these black people. Okay. But here's my thing.
But they were willing to do it.
That's true. But they didn't go to Carl Nassib when the story first broke and say, how do you feel? It was, oh, we need to respect the way he's probably feeling right now. And so I guess that's just the dichotomy. It's all bad. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, I just, and I guess it just kind of goes to show where we are in this country. And I think we've talked about it. It just, where, yeah.
I just don't think there's a rating to it because there's a lot of.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say there's a lot of people who get away. Like, I understand the direction that people are trying to take with this, because he wasn't brought down by his racism, but he was brought down by his sexism and his homophobia. But we could also talk about, there are many other instances where people are not brought down over their sexism and homophobia, but they're more brought down by their racism. So it's a flip-flop thing, right, on what the media focuses on at the time. And I'm guessing this was not last year, or this was not, very, very recent on these emails and everything like that came out, where we're right now in a racial, in a time when racism is definitely at the forefront, compared to other things. So I'm just saying, like, it flows in and out. It flows in and out on what we consider to be important. And I think it's partly on the fact of saying you get hit with everything at once. Like, it's just too much. Like, and people always say, like, you know, when we always used to say, pick your struggle.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's so many struggles, and as human beings, we always got to pick a struggle.
Hold that thought. I'm get to that in a moment. I think it, and I get what you're saying. I do, and trust me, I wasn't trying to put the racism angle above the other, especially the misogynist as a woman, or the homophobia as an ally of the community. But it I and you brought it up. It Tony Dungy, who's also a former black coach, much respected, when the initial emails came out and it was just about the racism, he also on Sunday Night Football defended Jon Gruden to an extent. And Dungy's words go a long, long way. So I think that we were just so willing to excuse it. And you hinted at it. It goes to me to a bigger issue that the NFL has, a bigger culture issue that the NFL has, where the NFL is just fucking blatantly racist.
Yep.
And so they're willing and more able to excuse those, because the other emails that have come out about what some of these owners have been saying, oh my God. Like, you know, Donald Sterling in the NFL, in the NBA, lost his team because of racist shit that he said. So if this were the by NBA standards, oh, none of those motherfuckers would have a team. So I think we're gonna file that. It could go on forever, this conversation, but it also leads into something else. We should probably file this, just an overarching thing. Gruden lost his job. He'll probably never coach again. He's been dropped from Madden Sports, been dropped from his a lot of his ad deals and his campaign and branding contracts. So, you know, I think we have to watch and see how this all shakes out for the NFL. Because just when the NFL starts to get back into the public's good graces, it seems like once they do a good job of covering, you know, trying to pull the rug over, and they like, oh, we got past that one, another scandal comes back to bite
Well,
them
you
in
talking
the
about
ass.
Brett Favre? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Another scandal comes back to bite them in the ass, just to remind us how fucking toxic as a whole, fuck the Washington football team, but how toxic as a whole the NFL is. And they were just bragging about how this has been one of their best ratings years in forever. People are happy footballs with that. I mean, I had even started watching it again because I had pretty much given up on football, watching the NFL, because it's so, you know. But then I think what you just said, I read something else, and some guy said on Twitter, he's like, I'm not trying to be rude, and I know this is horrible. He said, but I just really want to watch football without all the other bullshit, you know? And he's like, it does become too much, because it's like, it goes back to, why does everything have to be so political? And if it was just one owner, if it was a few owners, then maybe, but it's the whole organization from top to bottom as a whole is so fucking racist and dysfunctional and sexist. And yeah, so anyway,
We used to be okay with it.
we did. And you know what I always say, when you know better, you do better. You know,
But they don't know better.
We used to be okay with a lot of stuff. We don't. Jerry Jones, Dallas Cowboys. I'm not naming names or nothing. Remember when the biggest scandal in football was Robert Kraft getting a happy ending in a Florida massage parlor?
Yes.
Okay.
Good times. Those were the good
old
times.
days. All
Those were
right,
the good times.
our final one. Dave Chappelle. Netflix. Silent Seed. I'm getting another Silent Seed.
No, I thought you was gonna, like, you know, like, because I remember, okay, we talked about this before, and I said I haven't watched the special. I've never been I've never been a fan of Dave Chappelle. I've seen some of the episodes or his scenes from the Dave Chappelle show. You know,
bitch. I'm sorry.
but like I wasn't sad or upset when he like, you know, left. I've never been excited every time that he comes back with a special. Like I'm not a fan. So like this whole thing, I didn't even think to watch it, and I'm not going to watch it. So I'm like, you know, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'm with you. I've always been a lukewarm Dave Chappelle fan. I did respect the stand that he took. You know, I'm big on representation and I'm big on ownership and people being able to have ownership over their own shit that they create, especially minorities. So I applaud him for that. And I have watched his stand-up specials. I didn't watch the Chappelle show. I'm with you. I know the big bits and stuff like that. Um, but I do respect his place in pop culture, having said that. Initially, I was not going to watch this show, but as the scandal grew more and more, and I saw different takes, I decided to watch it. And of course, for those who don't know, he's in a lot of hot water, especially from the LGBT community, more specifically the transgender community, for jokes that he made during the special. And just like anything, some of his jokes were funny, some of it hit, some of it didn't. I think his message got lost in the messaging. And his message, more or less, was that members of that community, kind of like what I was saying into Sage Steele, they lean into the minority until it suits them not to. And they pay attention to the issues that affect the majority of members within that community, which happen to be white. Um, and they tend to ignore the issues of those who are not, and also talks about the racism within that community. Again, a lot of his message, which we both agreed was true, correct?
Yes. Wait.
Okay.
Hold on. Of what he was saying?
Of what he was saying, not necessarily about the jokes, but about the message.
Yes.
Okay. We both agree that that was true. Now, as someone who watched it, his message definitely got lost in the messaging. Now, was he out there advocating for death or violence against members of the LGBT community? No, he was not. LGBTQ community, he was not. Were all of his jokes funny? No, they were not. But my problem with it comes from this. They talk about the potential violence. Like GLAAD came out with a statement boycotting Netflix, that people are walking out. And again, everyone's entitled to their opinions. I'm not saying that they did not have a right to be offended. I'm not saying I don't understand why they were upset. But here's my thing. You talk about the potential violence that could come from his words, but you don't talk about the actual violence that takes place every day for the missing, exploited, murdered Black trans women in your community.
I agree.
So that's where I think they're playing that game of identity where they're playing that game again. It's like you, and I thought about this, and I'm so sick, especially as a Black woman. I'm tired. Like you said, pick a struggle, and it's exhausting. We're expected to show up and show out for everybody, and we do all the time. But who's there showing up and showing out for us? The only time these issues are highlighted is when we bring them up. And then we get that performative, oh, we care from the mainstream. It gets put on the news. It gets highlighted on Twitter. It gets highlighted on all these feeds for a day or two, for a news cycle, and then they forget about it again. So that's where I'm at with that.
I will just say that sometimes comedians are not the best people to get a message across.
Yeah, I agree with that. I wholeheartedly agree with that.
Because you feel that whatever you're trying to highlight, you also gotta throw some jokes in there because you're a comedian. but then the jokes land wrong, or you get in hot water like Dave Chappelle did, and the message gets lost. And what I will also say is it is very, very correct that the most underrepresented community when it comes to crimes and violence is Black trans women. And it's never talked about. It's not talked about. And that is something that the LGBTQ community needs to put more attention on. Because I think another problem that they do have in that community is that it's still very Eurocentric. And as long as it continues to be so Eurocentric, where the white people, white LGBTQs are the face of that community, then our issues that concern our community, the Hispanic community, the Asian community within the LGBTQ community will never be addressed.
And that's part of what he said so poorly, is that, you know, you lean into that minority, kind of like, again, like say Steele, until it benefits you to play up on the majority.
Yep.
And again, it fully got lost in the messaging. Like the message got lost in the messaging. I can't disagree with the message. The way he chose to deliver it, on the other hand, was not the best. Absolutely not. But again, you talking about the potential for violence to happen because you don't feel like you're being recognized, or you're offended by someone telling horrible jokes. You're not recognizing or paying attention to the actual violence that is happening within a subset of your community or subpopulation of your community, which to me is hypocritical. And it kind of goes back into the point, even though he didn't take it that far. But that's where I'm going with this. Like, well, you're arguing about this, you're walking out over this, but you're not highlighting this. And then the times that they do highlight it is, again, only to prove a point and say, see, we care. It's like the performative of it all. Like, oh no, we really do care.
I agree.
So, you know, it's like, but I also agree with you. It's really, really, really exhausting.
Oh my God, I feel like we need to end on a high note.
I know, like the K-pops, we've already done the K-pops. Oh, I know what we forgot, what I didn't bring up. We can end this on a high note. BTS in the Soup season 2. Are you watching?
Okay, so I forgot when it was premiering, and I saw an article that said that it premiered, and most of the article is talking about JK's dog. But
his horse,
so yes,
horse of a Doberman puppy.
Yeah, I guess so. So yes, I will definitely be tuning in. I'm not going to be as dedicated as I was last season. Season 1 last year when we were still basically in quarantine. But yeah, I definitely want to check it out, and because I definitely want to see that house.
Oh, it's nice. I did watch. I watched the first one.
Was it good?
It was. The house is nice. It was like, oh wow, they built that just for y'all. I was like, ooh, I need to be BTS. All the times J-Hope says, but we are BTS. Like, yeah, I need to be BTS. And I will say,
yes, it's a bit. Oh, wait. Okay, wait. One more thing. Just one more thing.
Okay.
Did you hear about like the whole ticket sale controversy for BTS?
Yes.
That is that.
But it happens. Like, that's the whole thing about concerts and tickets nowadays. It's like all the tickets, unless you go through a second service that's going to jack up prices, you never get to go to a concert.
But here's the thing. It's the scalpers that are like
buying all the tickets. Yes.
Because they were like, how they should be figuring out a way to stop that from happening, and they did not. because for some reason Ticketmaster didn't think that BTS was going to sell the way that they did. I don't know.
Is Ticketmaster on crack? Like, were they really up under a rock for the past year and a half?
But the fact that like there is a ticket that is being sold for like $18,000. Like that's what's pissing me off is, look, at the end of the day, majority of your fans are teenage girls who can't afford to pay $1,000 to see you in concert. I'm just gonna put that out there. Let's be real. Like, majority of adults who are your fans probably not going to your concert.
And they're not going to pay that. Look, people,
and they're not going to pay that.
Let me do you a spoiler alert, okay? Watch the warm-up show. They're having their online concert, Permission to Dance. This is probably their warm-up show for the one that's coming in November. It's okay. It'll be all right. Just watch that. You know, go online. I need to work for BTS PR. But just go buy the tickets, watch the online show. It will be fine. They do a good show either way. But to pay $18,000 to go see BTS live and in person, nah. Even if I had $18,000, okay, I could have Bezos money and I would not pay that still to go see BTS.
Absolutely not. But I mean, I'm definitely excited about the fact that they are getting back into the groove of it, and they're going to be able to fully take advantage of the increase of their popularity within the United States. Hey, you big right now, take full advantage of it. Do everything that you possibly can right now while you can.
And I love they chose a quote unquote COVID-free zone where they know California ain't playing with that shit. Gotta be vaccinated and all that.
You know that's the reason why.
And I was like, well, why not New York? Because they're the same, but it'll be warmer in California towards the end of December than it will be in New York.
California is a hop, skip, and jump away from South Korea.
Yeah, across the Pacific. So yeah.
And it's a huge Asian population in California as well.
Yeah. So okay, I think we did our palate cleanser because we definitely needed it. And that does it for this episode of the ReWine. Please be sure to listen, like, follow, and comment on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and or Spotify Podcasts. You can also keep up to date on the latest in entertainment and pop culture news, as well as other amazing kernels of pop culture goodness at thepopcornwinedown.com. That's it. That's the plug. Pop, 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 pop. I feel like I should sing My Universe, but I don't.
Don't do it. Don't.
Oh.
Hey, don't do it, Eddie.
My bad. My bad. My voice ain't warmed up yet. I understand. I didn't have my tea today, but that's okay. So until next time. Thank you always for joining us. I'm Eddie.
And I'm Tammy. Bye.
Peace.